Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast of things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Jay Fidell.
And I'm Roger Ulveling.
In our show tonight, we'll cover the Kakaako Arising program that ThinkTech and the Hawaii Venture Capital Association presented at the Plaza Club on March 22nd.
The program demonstrated that there's a new energy in Kakaako, both on the part of landowners and developers and also designers and innovators.
The program started out with remarks by Governor Neil Abercrombie, who's very enthusiastic about the projects and prospects in the new Kakaako. The ancient Romans had it right. All roads lead to Kakaako. Please welcome Governor Neil Abercrombie, a friend of Kakaako.
People have heard me say that I would like to see a third city develop, and that's the approach that I'm trying to take as a kind of metaphor for what we intend to do here, all the way from Kewalo Basin out to Kalihi. I can't wait for all of this. This is going to be so much fun. This is going to be so great. We're going to have such a marvelous time, and you're going to and just you watch, and it's going to be marvelous. People from all over the country, all over the world are going to be saying, "What are you folks doing down there? This is fantastic. This is marvelous." We're going to have art blocks. We're going to have small businesses. We're going to have people loft living. We're going to have every variety of modern life across the complete spectrum of our relationships with one another, from the very young to those of us that are aging in place. All of us are going to look to Kakaako and the extension all the way into Kalihi, the urban core, as the revitalization of a new Honolulu that we'll all not only be very proud of, but will thrill us and give us the opportunity to say to another, that's where I want to be.
After Governor Abercrombie spoke, we heard from members of the first panel entitled Projects and Prospects of Landowners and Developers in Kakaako. The moderator was Bruce Barrett of Castle and Cook. The panelists were Peter Apo of OHA, Tony Ching of the Hawaii Community Development Authority, Mitch Dolier of Kaneohe Ranch, formerly with Victoria Ward, Kathy Inouye of the Kobayashi Group, and Paul Quintiliani of Kamehameha Schools.
Good afternoon, everyone. In real estate, the axiom is that it's location, location, location. In politics, it's clearly the economy, stupid. For developers and land use planners such as myself, it's timing. As well as, I had to throw that in because Jay said I could only use one word, so mine is timing. But it's actually location, it's actually the economics, and it's also actually timing. With the downturn in the economy in 2008 and other circumstances, the Pacifica project, which was formerly known as the Moana Vista project, went into receivership. However, what was untenable for that developer turned into a very viable project for Oliver McMillan. And earlier this year, that project was completed, and 480 some odd units, including 124 reserved or affordable, became occupied.
5 minutes. Oh boy. So hang in with me. 5 minutes is it's hard for Hawaiian because it takes us 30 minutes just to recite our genealogy, as some of us witnessed last night at the Twilight Country Club. I'm going to go really quickly. First of all, a disclaimer. While my remarks today really represent presentations that we've made throughout the community in 22 community meetings, I have to tell you, I'm here as an Oahu trustee, and I'm not here representing the entire board. So I wanted to make sure that I issued that disclaimer. Okay, ceded land settlement. Ceded land settlement has been 32 years, 17 legislatures, 4 governors. And I'm really happy to announce that it looks like we're in the red zone and we're on our last governor. And I want to first thing say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
At this point in my career, I get to do things like historical perspective, and I get to smile when people like the governor talk about aging in place. So I just want to tell you guys, I'm a living example of aging in place. Life's a team sport, And Bruce was nice enough to mention the vision thing. Visions come out of teams, visions don't come out of individuals. There's a whole lot of people that made Kakaako happen, including the team that worked with me at Victoria Ward, including the team that was at HCDA, including Eric Masutomi, who's on the next panel, including Jan Yokota. And there was Francis Oda in Group 70. And if there was a vision, the vision's everybody. I want to start out just by mentioning a couple mentors, because when I started at Kakaako, a couple of my mentors said things to me that stuck with me for a long time. I'm in the opening of Borders. Herb Cornell comes up to me, and Herb says, "Mitch, do you know that it's dangerous to own land in a democracy?" And you know, like Herb says these things, he has this wry smile on his face. I look quizzically at him. He says, "That's because you only have one vote."
You've heard a couple of things today from planners of Kakaako, and you've heard us talk about the provision for residential housing, industrial opportunities perhaps, and the attraction to cross-generational, cross-class. So I'll talk a little bit about each of those because it just coincidentally happens that we've been involved in those different aspects of it. What I'd first like to say though is Howard Hughes is missing today on the panel, and so I'll represent them by proxy on at least one project. But let me first talk about Hokua. If you recall, when we started Hokua, people thought we were crazy. We started planning that just post 9/11. Mitch contacted us and we started that planning process. We couldn't get financing. We had to prove that there was a market there. There was no proven market there, but we just felt that we would be selling to the move down market from Kahala, Nu'uanu, and so forth. People that were sending their kids off to college and were looking for a resort type lifestyle living experience. So when we first closed the building, we're very fortunate. I think we said what still holds a record today. We still closed 100% of the units on the same day. So at that time we closed it, 70% of those buyers were local.
Because over the last 4 years, our team members have done a lot of community outreach. We've talked with business leaders, we've talked with community members, we've talked with politicians, and we've talked with labor. And they've all given us a lot of input into our vision for Kakaako. And while all of this has been valuable, really the success of Kakaako is about the innovators that are in this room. And so it's really important and significant and relevant that we're talking with you today. Your success is intensely tied to our vision for Kakaako. As you'll hear today, what Kakaako is for Kamehameha schools is it's transformative. It's about building new opportunities, and your group is really the future realization of that success. So I want to thank ThinkTech and HVAC for having us here today so we can be part of that discussion. 5 minutes is really short, so I can only really talk about two things. And I want to let you guys understand the why. Why is Kamehameha School so passionate about this? What are our motivations? And how is that passion and motivation being reflected in the kinds of decisions that you've heard some about today? So, and at the conclusion, I hope you'll think that it's really a wise approach and one that differentiates our Kakaako from the ward neighborhoods and other parts of the district.
Then we heard from the second panel, entitled Projects and Prospects of Designers and Innovators in Kakaako, moderated by John Ida, an architect with Urban Works, with panelists Wei Fang of the R&D project and something called the Inter-Island Terminal, Charlie Holdaway of Holatron Systems, making special effects for Hawaii Five-0 and other film companies around the world, Eric Masutomi, a community planner, who was involved in planning Kakaako at the inception of HCDA, Vicky Holt Takamini of Pua'ali'i Ilima, who's planning to build an artist's condo in Kakaako, and Jasper Wong of Powwow, which has organized the fabulous murals you see all around Kakaako, with permission, of course.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for staying for so long today for this. It's been a great program. So I represent an organization called Inter-Island Terminal. It's a nonprofit organization. We're 501c3. It's really more like a collaborative. There's about 8 or 10 of us who work on it. It's an all-volunteer organization. As John mentioned, our mission is to create programs in contemporary art, design, and film, and also to advance the role of the arts and innovation. Our involvement with Kakaako is primarily through a space we call R&D, and that's a term that most of you know is research and development. It's a space located on Oahe Street, 691 Oahe Street. And there's a couple of things that go on that space. This is a project that we created really to feed into the mission of our organization and to sort of support the rest of the creative community that we consider our constituents. And the things that happen at R&D, for those of you that haven't been, is that there's an art and design and culinary bookstore to kind of support and inspire the creative community.
Aloha. I'm representing Holatron Systems, which is a small manufacturer. We're located in Kakaako, of course. And the key word that would summarize what I'm going to say, I guess, would be positioning. And I'm going to apply that both to our positioning in our market and in the local community, in particular Kakaako. Holatron serves a global market, and it consists primarily of movie, TV, and theatrical special effects systems, and pyrotechnics display systems, and military training systems. All of these are wireless systems. We strive to have the #1 position in this market, and that is for the consideration of safety and reliability, first of all. And then wireless control system technology. We want to have the best technology of any of our competitors.
I told Jay that, you know, I really don't fit this topic. I'm not an innovator. I'm not a designer. But I finally figured out why I was put here. You know, I'm not one of those stiff-collared old stodgies who came before. I'm one of the young, creative people that are on this panel. So thank you, Jay. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I actually had two sets of remarks to present because I didn't know how this was going to go. So I'm going to throw away my more provocative ones and stick to a more traditional, safe presentation. What I wanted to just mention was that, and again, because of the nature of the panel I'm on, you know, there's an emerging trend going on throughout the United States. It's called tactical urbanism.
Okay, I'm happy to be one of the young people on this panel. Thank you. The governor and I were just like, that must be us. We're the young ones, right? Aloha, I'm Vicky Holt Takamini. I'm Kumuhula of Puali Ilima. I've been teaching for 35 years now, my halau, and for a majority of that time, I was teaching in an elementary school cafeteria or a multi-purpose center or, you know, the backyard of my auntie's patio. So we never really had a space for our halau to practice. And most of you, or some of you will know that I'm a Native Hawaiian advocate for Native rights and protection of our natural and cultural resources. So I will get out there on the streets or have a little demonstration when the passion moves me. And in 2000, when the convention center was built, the Arts in Public Places under SFCA purchased $1 million worth of artwork. And not one penny of that artwork was commissioned to a Native Hawaiian artist. And I couldn't understand how the state could spend $1 million of our tax money and not one penny went to a Native Hawaiian artist.
I'm not really big on speaking, I'm just a painter, so bear with me. Because I wasn't really expecting this when Jay asked me to speak. I was like, it's going to be a small group, it's going to be like in a conference room or something. And I come here and I'm like, what's going on? So I think for us, it's the most about community. Aside from powwow, I also am a co-owner of a cafe and gallery on Queen Street in Kakaako called Fresh Cafe, and we have a gallery in the back warehouse called Loft in Space where we hold art events, and we have the largest slam poetry event in the nation, as well as Art and Filet, which is a craft fair for local artisans to sell their handmade goods. We do that once a month, and amongst other things. So with powwow, Powwow Hawaii, it's really about just painting murals. It's about beautifying through art.
We really appreciated all the questions that people sent up and the comments Governor Abercrombie made in support of the program. He stayed until the end, and we were delighted he did. When the program was over, we made our customary rounds to see what people in the audience thought.
We all want to see you succeed.
Thank you so much.
One of the things that we didn't talk about today is having not only the transportation infrastructure, but information transportation infrastructure, which is broadband.
It was great to see a lot of the street level entrepreneurs, a lot of young people who are going to make Kakaako a great place. And just the fact that you've brought them together and we've got the dialogue going at the front end. I think Kakaako is the most exciting project that's out there today.
But I like the fact that you had the developers and the people that have experienced, what has Kakaako done over the course of time, as well as the young guys. And I think the young guys really had a great story to tell.
That's terrific presentation, Charlotte. Very, very good. You're one of the pioneers down there, really. All kudos to you. Everybody can see that the sum of the individual parts represented here today is going to be greater than those individual parts in terms of an overall vision and commitment to Kakaako as the new third city.
What I thought happened today was it reached out to an awful lot of people who are going to reach out to an awful lot more people.
I thought this was exciting. You had the first panel, which had a vision for what Kakaako is going to be like in the future, and then the second panel, which gave me a more diverse view of what Kakaako is like right now and what I could see if I went down there.
We're really excited about Kakaako with this whole kind of summit that happened here today.
It was really interesting to see a higher perspective, because for us, we're like in the daily grind, so every day we're out there trying to build community, working.
Really seeing the movement and energy and people looking to stand behind that and push that momentum forward.
I work in Kakaako and I'm always there all the time, but I don't know what's going on with everything, with HCDA or what everyone else is planning. So it's great to be here to sort of get an idea, because I didn't know that Vicky was planning an artist loft and residence, and I was trying to plan the same thing. So I was like, oh, cool.
So it can work, definitely can work in Hawaii, and everybody here is so upbeat and motivated, and I can see such a great potential for quality life here.
Really had a great time hearing about the vision of Kakaako and seeing it come alive, and I think being a part of it, at the Greenhouse Innovation Hub, we get to see every day that transformation.
If 25% of the vision that people talked of today comes to pass, it'll be wonderful.
Look forward for the next 7 years. It's going to be a wild ride.
It was a remarkable program, 2 remarkable panels, and a record-breaking audience. Everyone learned a lot, and everyone was encouraged to hear about the creative projects and the enormous prospects which are coming alive in Kakaako, the most important new neighborhood in our city and also our state. Finally, after all these years, we look forward to some amazing changes in Kakaako.
Now for our ThinkTech calendar of events going forward.
ThinkTech's 4 to 5 p.m. weekday drive time radio series on KGU 760 AM continues this week, covering business, Asia, technology, energy, the arts, and government. Tune in to 760 AM every weekday at 4 p.m. and raise your awareness on ThinkTech Radio.
On April 26th, ThinkTech and the Hawaii Venture Capital Association will present another luncheon panel program. This one is called Getting Around in Hawaii and will deal with the challenges of transportation in our city and state. Sign up for these programs on hvca.org. And now, here's Bill Spencer, president of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association, with this week's Spensation.
Bill, what a program that was. That was incredible. The Kakaako Rising program. What a crowd. We had almost 200 people there. We had the governor, and he stayed the whole time. We had people getting so excited. Some of the speakers, they stayed the whole time, and they were vibrating with energy, excuse the expression, about what the others were saying. We had the yin and the yang. We had the power brokers, and then we had the innovators. We had the older guys and the younger guys. We had both sides of the equation. I have to say that was one of our best ever.
I agree. I was also encouraged by the conversation. I think one gentleman in the audience brought up the notion that what we were doing is really elevating the discussion in terms of values and having this sort of before the fact, as opposed to just hearing the criticism after something's been done. I think the other interesting aspect of this is, this is the state's baby. It's not really the city's baby. I mean, there will be collaboration, but this is a state initiative, which I think is why the governor was so involved and interested. As you recall, he popped up 2 or 3 times in the course of the panel discussions to make comments. Even his wife chimed in, Dr. Caraway, about green roofs and sustainable.
It's an important point. So it's worth it. It's worth chiming in on that. Well, I thought it really was a think tank the other day. People were really thinking out of the box. They came together. There was not any real negative thing that I could see going on. It was like, why can't we work together and make something better than we ever made before?
That's right.
And I really like that. Yeah.
It'll be a jewel, and it's compared to now, and compared to what it's been the last 20 years, it's an opportunity that must be seized.
Yeah. Well, we have to follow up on it. We have to
Absolutely.
do it again, take snapshots as it goes forward. This is an issue that relates to both ThinkTech and the Hawaii Venture Capital Association. We should continue our coverage.
Absolutely. So how are you going to top it, Jay?
I don't know.
What's our next program?
It's not going to be easy to top it, but our next program, we started out on transportation, the various modes of transportation. It's pretty much going to be about rail. It's going to be about the current status of public opinion about rail and what is happening about rail and what's going to happen going forward. And I think it's going to be 2 panels, political commentators, newspaper commentators, and the like, who can comment on how this all integrates. After all, they've been covering this subject for how many years already?
That's right.
And it's more interesting now than it was then. So I'm sure they have plenty to say about the continuum of the news, not only historically to the present, but into the future.
And they're really playing a role in shaping public opinion.
Sure they are.
Whether it's through editorials or just the coverage. It's such a hot topic that they can't be totally neutral, and they aren't. So why not give them a chance to explore this with our great audience?
Sure. They haven't had the chance to sit together like this, so it'll be great. Looking forward to this one, Bill. I don't know exactly how it's going to come out, but we're having fun putting it together as usual.
So what's the date?
That is April 26th at the Plaza Club. Again, begins at 12:30. And again, if you want to sign up, hvca.org. And the smart guys and girls, sign up early, hvca.org.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Bill. And here's our co-working entrepreneurs, Richung Fujihira and Tony Stanford, to keep us current on their latest adventures at the Box Jelly.
Well, this week was a really exciting week. We attended some events, and we really expanded in different areas across the board. Everything from looking at new spaces, new mentors, and new team members.
That's right. And we also were able to attend the HVCA luncheon, Kakaako Rising, and had a little mini powwow afterwards, no pun intended.
With a lot of the young people that are really looking to the movers and shakers of Kakaako. So it was really interesting to see where their passions and visions are for Kakaako down the road. So it was a good insight to be there.
Yeah, definitely.
So with the new space, we had a couple approach us that are interested in jumping into the world of co-working, and they're looking to open up their own Box Jelly in Chinatown.
That's correct. They're two friends of mine, long-time acquaintances, I would say, and they have a kind of a co-op, an artist co-op right now, and they want to slide that and parlay it into a co-working space. So they approached us, interested in doing a franchise. For us, we're definitely interested, but we know nothing of franchises, which kind of lead us to.
Yes, so as we were talking about it, it was the word franchise was coming up many times, and we were nodding our head. I was like, yes, this is great. Let's do a franchise. And then we went ahead, and I seeked out another mentor, the name by Joe Nicolai. He brought Jan Automotive to the islands here. And as a car dealership, he deals with being a franchisee and a franchisor and a dealer. So learning what he goes through and the mindsets of that, I've started to really get an insight of where our mindset should be and what we should expect when writing one, so I can have an intelligent conversation with a lawyer. So really getting into that has been exciting. That's also gave us an opportunity to reevaluate ourselves and really look at, because we know the system inside and out. If something goes awry, we know how to fix it instantly. But really being able to take our whole thing and put it as a package, a turnkey ready system, and being able to streamline is something that we want to do. So having this here keeps our feet to the fire and really be able to offer this as a whole package, and so they can understand it easy in and out.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech, but first we want to thank our underwriters.
Thanks to the Scheidler Family Foundation, which supports a number of educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including ThinkTech.
Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Miko on Maui and Helco on the Big Island are deeply committed to the communities that they serve.
Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company, and CEO of CBI Polymers, a tech company in Hawaii.
Don't forget ThinkTech. Please help us out by making a contribution on thinktechhawaii.com. It'll help us with all the things we do to raise public awareness about tech, energy, diversification, and globalism in Hawaii. Thank you very much.
Okay, Roger. That wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times every week. Can't get enough of it, just like Roger does. For additional times, check out OC16.tv.
You bet, Jay. For lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on ThinkTech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a sponsor or a volunteer and help us reach Hawaii.
I'm Jay Fidell. Thanks so much for joining us on ThinkTech.
I'm Roger Ulveling. Aloha, everyone.